But it is their role to find the enemy. This is a recon unit, reconnaissance, to reconnoitre where the enemy are. But the Germans have been fighting this war now for 5 years, and the German infantry of the Wehrmacht are highly proficient. They've been fighting the Russians, they know how to hide, they know how to defend. And they certainly know how to take cover and use camouflage. Because the Allies have got complete control of the skies, the Germans know that they cannot move at day. They can only move during the night. In the daytime, they have to hunker down in cover or woods and avoid the enemy aircraft. But even worse now, it looks as though the Jeep has broken down. The British reconnaissance unit, now stuck out in the middle of no man's land. The Jeep's broken down, and they just seem to be totally unaware of the dangerous position that they're in. There even appears to be a bit of an argument going on between the officer and the sergeant. I thought you put petrol in it. I thought you put the petrol in it, sir.
Right, sit in the bum then, Jamie.
But they know that they should be forming themselves into a defensive position in this situation. They should be deploying their machine gun, but they're too busy arguing with each other. Sending messages back to Battalion HQ now. But if there are Germans around, ladies and gentlemen, this patrol is going to be in real trouble. And if you look carefully, you will observe something that the British reconnaissance team have failed to observe, and that is some infantry of the Wehrmacht. They've seen the recon group, they've seen the Jeep, and now they're advancing forward. It's German infantry. From the Wehrmacht, wearing the latest. A shot rings out. One of the officers goes down. The recon troops now aware of the danger that they're in. They've set up their machine gun, but they don't know where the fire's coming from. British there using an American Browning machine gun, managing to get the Germans' heads down. But the Germans there very skillfully advancing, firing and moving at the same time. Some of the troops firing, some of the troops moving, armed with the Mauser 98 rifle and also with various different submachine guns. In fact, one of the Germans even carried a British Sten gun, which had the same 9mm ammunition as the German machine guns. One of the British is there with the Thompson submachine gun, again, another American weapon.
I'm going to stand up. No, I'll go behind.
Germans slowly moving forward, slowly edging forward. These soldiers are known as stormtroopers. That's exactly what they would do. They would come forward, close combat with their submachine guns and grenades, and they would attempt to storm and take this Jeep if they can. Some of the British troops now trying to get away with the lady from the French resistance, but maybe they can get information back to Battalion HQ. And the officer now trying to run, but going down. Will the remaining British troops surrender? Will the officer surrender? And down he goes. And the Germans have taken the Jeep, and now we see more German reinforcements coming onto the field. The officer viewing from the hill the situation. He's now committing more troops. He knows that the British will counter-attack, but what he wants to do here is get information from the reconnaissance jeep. Maybe maps, information on the unit they're facing. In this particular case, the men of the Essex Regiment. Maybe even plans of the next British offensive may have been stupidly left on the jeep, who knows. So that's why he sent his men in. This is risky for the Germans. They know that the British will counter-attack, and they know that there are more Allied troops coming this way, but they must try and get as much information as they can. They've got an opportunity, so they'll use it. We can see some more German. But now, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the British coming back onto the battlefield. These are men of the Essex Regiment. So let's have a cheer for the Tommy, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, cheer, come on! Now, the young lady from the French resistance has gone back to the British lines. Reinforcements. Now, the British are also skilled fighters. They've been fighting this war for 5 years. They're infantry tactics, they have new weapons, the Sten gun, using the brain gun as well, as you can see. And both sides now engage short range combat. Soldiers on both sides making sure they keep their heads down, hugging the ground as close as they can, because if they're out in the open and there's heavy fire coming in, the only cover they've got is literally hugging the ground. Some of the German troops now falling back to take up a better fire position, especially with that brain gun on the German flank, making it very difficult for the Germans. But the Germans themselves have an M42 machine gun. With the Brits now coming forward in an attempt to rush the German lines, but the German firepower still too heavy.
Mum, the planes up there.
The sergeant, part of the British squad, trying to assess the situation. Has the German firepower been weakened enough that he can rush the enemy position? Not yet. And again, you can see the brain gun on the flank of the German line being skillfully used there to get the Germans' heads down. And some of the German troops now retiring, trying to get away. And the Brits now coming forward. Let's have a cheer for the men of the Essex Regiment. The German machine gun now being withdrawn. The German officer, you can see that the day is lost. There is no point committing more men to a lost battle. So the Germans now retiring from the field. Troops of the Essex Regiment now securing the position, sending out their own soldiers to cover the hill and make sure there's no German counterattack. Making sure that they pick up any German living prisoners. Now the Brits will make sure that they keep enemy prisoners alive. There is no summary execution on the battlefield, because it is important that the prisoner has information. He can be interrogated and you can find out what enemy troops you're fighting against. If he's an officer or a sergeant, you may even get some more information about enemy movements and enemy units and so on. You can see now the British now securing the battlefield and taking any living German prisoners from the field. Also attending to their own wounded. British intelligence will be very interested in that map case that we've just seen. Still here firing as the Germans retreat. And the Brits again taking advantage of the cover to push the Germans back as far as possible. Some of the Germans who are playing dead now, obviously not as dead as they looked, being marched off.
They're playing dead.
For them, the war is over. Maybe a prison camp in Britain, or possibly even Canada or the United States awaits them. But they're lucky. Had they been captured by the Russians, they'd have probably been shot on sight. For on the Eastern Front, there was very little love lost between the Soviets and the Nazi German troops. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am very glad to say that this is a reenactment. Nobody has been hurt, and certainly nobody has died. We can ask our reenactors to arise and to reform themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for the men of the Wehrmacht, but especially the soldiers of the Essex Regiment, the Army of Liberation, 1944 to 1945. Now, what we are going to do now, just to inform you, is we're going to quickly sweep the field and make sure that the space is now safe and that we've picked up any ammunition that's been left lying around. Obviously only using blank ammunition, but there are still explosives used in these bullets, and if any haven't actually gone off, it's important that we pick them up so that the field is made safe. So please do not cross the rope barriers at all. It's absolutely crucial that you stay on your side of the barriers. We're then going to form everybody up. They will give you their salute, and then I would then invite you, ladies and gentlemen, to join me and our reenactors in a minute's silence so that we can show our respect for those that gave their lives during the conflict 1939 to 1945, and also to remember our own soldiers that have given their lives in the defence of Great Britain since the end of the Second World War, and most recently, obviously, with the tragic events in Woolwich. We're just going to await for all our soldiers to come back onto the field. Just again making sure that everything is safe. So, the Allies attacked in Normandy in June and July and August 1944.